Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. If there were 39 people on the bus and 4 people got off the bus, that would leave 35 people remaining on the bus. So the fraction of people staying on the bus is 35 out of the 39 people on the bus. So our answer is, as a fraction, 35 over 39. We can't cancel that any further. So a prime number is a number that is only in the 1 times table and its own times table. So 4, for example, is not a prime number because it is also in the 2 times table. 6 is in the 2 times table. 15 is in the 3 times table. 21 is also in the 3 times table. 9 is also in the 3 times table. Now 1 is a bit of a special case. The definition is that it has to be in 1 and its own times table, and technically 1 is only in one of those. So 1 is not a prime number. The smallest prime number is actually 2, but 2 is not in this list. 23 though is not in any other times table, so 23 is a prime number. If I split this shape into 2 sets of 6 blocks, when we're asked to shade in 3/6, for each one of those, or each set of blocks, I'm going to shade in 3 of the 6. So that's 3 for the first set, and this is 3 for the second set. And that's our answer. Now you might notice that 3 over 6 is the same as a half, because we can divide on 1 by 3, and so all I need to do is shade in a half. Or you might convert 3 over 6 into 6 over 12, and there's 12 squares altogether, so it's 6 of the 12 squares. There's lots of ways of doing this question. So the key says that a circle represents 8 DVDs, and we're told that on Thursday there are 18 DVDs. So we need to rewrite 18 in kind of lots of 8. So that will be an 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus a 2. So we know it will be 2 full circles. So let's get those 2 full circles in. And that will represent 16. But how do we represent 2? Well, if you think about it, if we cut this up into quarters, each quarter will represent 2. So 2, 4, 6 and 8. So we just need another quarter. And so that would be 8 for the first one, 8 for the second one, and then this little quarter will represent 2, which altogether is 18. So football is represented as a quarter of this pie chart. And so if there are 60 students altogether, we just do 60 divided by 4 to find a quarter of it, and that's 15. So there are 15 people who picked football. To find the factors of 30, we're just going to write down all the factor pairs, or all the pairs of numbers that multiply together to make 30. So 1 times 30 is 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10. Now 4 doesn't go because 30 is not in the 4 times table. 5 times 6, and we notice that if we pick 6, it's just going to be 6 times 5, it's just going to be the opposite. So the factors are all the numbers that we've just written down, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 and 30. Whenever we multiply 2 negatives, we always get a positive, so we know our answer will be positive. We're going to do 9 times 12, which is going to be 108, and v times v, which is going to be v squared. So we're going to start by writing 5 over 9 as a decimal, and to do that we just need to do 5 divided by 9, which will be 0.5 recurring. And to convert between a decimal and a percentage, we just times by 100. So we're going to get that 0.5 recurring and we're going to times it by 100, and that will equal 55.555 recurring. And to the nearest percent, that's going to be 56, because that 5 will move that 5 up by 1. So for this question, we need to convert the percentage to a decimal. So to do that, we get that 8.9%, and we just divide by 100. And so that will give us 0.089. And so we get that 0.089. Of normally means times in maths, so we just go times that by 457, and that will give us 40.67. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is minus 10, so minus 10. And we know w is minus 4, so it's times minus 4 times minus 4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times minus 4 at the end. So minus 10 times minus 4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times minus 4. Now we're going to do 40 times minus 4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be minus 160. So we've got to first of all work out how many parts there are altogether. So oil has 21 parts, vinegar has 5, so altogether there's 21 plus 5, which is 26 parts. Now, how many of those parts are vinegar? Well, vinegar is the second one, so it's going to be this 5. So vinegar has 5 out of the 26 parts, or a fraction would be 5 over 26. So we're going to track the amount of eggs to make the amount of, or to make each amount of omelette. So 5 eggs makes 17 omelettes. And we're just going to find out how much is required, how many eggs is required to make 1 omelette. So we divide that by 17, divide both sides by 17. And so 1 omelette would be 0.294 blah 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 eggs. Next we want to see how many for 67 omelettes. And to get to 67 from 1 times 67, so do that to the amount of eggs, and we get 19.705 blah blah blah. Now you can't get 0.705 of an egg, we always round with eggs, and we always round upwards, because if you need 19.7, 19 won't be enough, so we need to pick 20 eggs. So we have an original amount, and this represents 100% of the original amount. The new price, new amount, represents 113%, because it has said that it has gone up by 13%. So it has increased by 13%. And as a value, that increase is £1,287. So it's 13% of the original. It's gone up 13% of the original price. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out what 1% of the price increase is. Instead of 13%, we're going to work out what 1% is. And we're going to do that by dividing the amount by 13. And we get 99. So 1% represents £99. So 1% of the original represents £99. But the new amount is 113%. So we need to times the £99 by 113, which gives us £11,187. So the picture is now worth £11,187. £87. So we're going to start off by filling out this table. So 0 times 1, 0 times 2, 0 times 3, 1 times those, 2 times those, and 3 times those. And we're looking for the probability that the product, which just means that when we times them together, will be more than 2. So which of these are more than 2? Let's circle all the ones that are more than 2. And to work out a probability, it's always the successful outcomes over the total amount. So the successful ones are the ones I've circled, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The total are all of them together, where it's a 4x4 grid, so it'd be 16 in total. And so the probability that the product will be more than 2 will be 9 over 16. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the centre, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the centre, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point, like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. First thing we need to do is work out the area of the wall. And so to do that, we're just going to multiply the 44 by the 40. So 44 times 40 is 1,760. And next thing we notice is that each tin covers 10 meters squared. So it actually means we can work out the fact that there are 1,760 meters squared in total for our wall. And if each tin covers 10 meters squared, then we will need 176 tins. That's the amount of tins we need. And each tin costs £5.70, so it'd be 176 times the 5.7, or £5.70, or you could do it as 570 pence and convert it at the end. And that gives us a price of 1003.2. And so as money, that would be £1,003.20. Going to first of all work out how many parts there are in total. So we've got James with 9 parts, 6 for Andy, and 7 for Tia. So in total, we've got 9 plus 6 plus 7, which is 22 parts in total. And we're asked to find a fraction Tia receives. Now Tia's the last one, so she is receiving the 7 parts. So it's 7 out of 22. So let's write these numbers out. And the first thing to do is work out what the numbers are going up by. So they're going up by minus 3, because they're minusing 3 each time. So we know that the number before the n is going to be minus 3. So whatever they go up in is the number before the n. Then what we do is we go backwards to find the 0th term. So actually going backwards, we would add 3 and we would find it to be 20. So whatever numbers our 0th term, because 17 is our first term, is going to be what we add to the minus 3n. So it's going to be add 20. So our answer is minus 3n plus 20. So the first thing we need to do is work out the mean for the data in the table. So to start off doing that, we're going to work out the midpoint of each group. So we've got 80 to 85, and to find the midpoint, you add the 80 and the 85 together, then you divide by 2. So this will be 82.5, then 87.5, then 92.5, then 97.5, And then finally 100 plus 105 divided by 2 is 102.5. Next we need to find the ft, which is just the frequency times the duration of calls. Now, in this first group, we're not timesing it by 80 to 85 or anything like that. We're timesing it by the midpoint. So our midpoint effectively becomes the t. So we're going to do 15 times that, which will be 1237.5. And we're just going to keep going and multiplying each of these together. And then finally 2050. Right, next we need to add up the frequencies and add up the FTs. So we're going to have the sum of the frequencies. So I'm just adding all this column up, and that will be 80. And we have sum of the FT. And so we're going to just add this column up here. And so that would be 7,450. So what this column represents is all the numbers added up together. This column represents how many numbers we have. So to find the mean, it's all of the numbers added together, which will be 7,450, over the amount of numbers we have, which is 80. So when you do that, we get 93.125. Now this question is about the improvement that we've made, or that the manager has made, the call centre's made. So we're looking at subtracting the 93.125 away from the last week, which was 105. So we're looking for improvement. And we're going to do 105, take away the 93.125. And that's going to be 11.875. Now it does ask for 2 decimal places, so that will be 11.88. So I'm going to write out the equation again just to give us a bit more space. And the rule we have here is if we have an x on both sides, which we do in here, we pick the smallest one to get rid of. So we've got a 12x and a 7x. And so the smaller number, or the smaller x, would be the 7x. So we're going to get rid of that first. So we've got our lines in, and we're going to take away 7x both sides. And so 12x take away 7x is 5x. And the 7x is gone, so it's just equals to 46. Then we've got the minus 4 to get rid of, so we're going to add 4 both sides. And then we've got this times 5 here, so we're going to divide 5 both sides. So we've got x equals 50 divided by 5, which is 10. To find average speed, we do the total distance and we divide it by the total time. Now in this question we've got a bit of an issue because the question wants kilometers per hour, but the units are given to us in meters and minutes. So we just need to do some basic conversions. So 1080 meters is going to be 1.08 kilometers because there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So all we need to do is just divide the meters by 1,000. Minutes are a little bit trickier. To get from minutes to hours, all we need to do is divide by 60. And so when you divide that by 60, you get 0.2 hours. So we're going to put the kilometers at the top, 1.08, and we're going to divide that by the hours, which is 0.2. When you do that, you get 5.4. So our answer to 2 decimal places will be 5.40. Whenever you have a one-digit number or a 1 decimal place number, but you're asked to round it to 2 decimal places, you should really put a 0 on the end, which is what we've done. So the first thing we're going to do is work out the area of the trapezium. And the formula for that is half brackets a plus b times h. Now a and b have to be the parallel sides. So here we've got the 2 parallel sides here. Just pick a different colour. Here and here. So that is a and b. And then the h is the perpendicular distance between them. So perpendicular means it hits it at right angles, so that's what we've got here. So the area would be half times A, which is 28, plus B, which is 14, times the height, which is 14. And so that would be 294. Next we'll do the circle. Now it doesn't look like we've got anything for the circle, but actually the height here is actually the height of the circle as well. So the height of the circle is the same as the diameter. So the diameter of the circle is 14. Therefore the radius would be half of that, which is 7. And the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So it would be pi times 7 squared, which will be 153.938 blah blah blah. Now I'll keep that in my calculator, because next thing we'll do is the shaded area part, and it says we want to work out the area of the shaded region. So the area will be the total area, which will be the trapezium, take away the area that we don't want, which is this bit here, which will be the circle. So the trapezium's 294, the circle's 153.93 blah blah blah, and when you do that you get 140.061 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it would be 140.06. So in this question we are told that the centre of enlargement is at 6, 4. So let's just put across there. And what I'm going to do is just draw ray lines from the centre of enlargement, and we're just going to go through each of the corners of our shape A. And we're going to just check whether it goes through the corner of shape B, which it does on this one. Let's just keep going. Yeah, it does on this one. But it does not on this one. So it says find the coordinate of the vertex of shape B that is not correct. So the coordinate is this one here, and so that would be -4, 1. So if we imagine we've got the 25 metre pipe here, and we've got the 35 metre pipe here. The question's basically asking us what can we cut all these pipes into, and they all have to be the same length, that will fit with the 25 metre and the 35 metre. And essentially what this question's asking is, what is the highest common factor of 25 and 35? So to find the highest common factor, what we do is we just find the factors of 25, which is 1, 25, and 5, and 5. And the factors of 35, which will be 1 and 35, and 5 and 7. And the highest common factor is the number in both lists, the highest number in both lists, so it's 5. So what we can do is we can cut all of these pipes into 5 metre pipes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Not to scale, and then 7 of these, so 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and so there's 7 in total. So each of these are 5 metre long, and there's no wastage. and that's the longest we can make the pipes for there to be no wastage at all. So my answer is 5 meters. To find the gradient, we use a simple formula, which is m equals the second y-coordinate take away the first y-coordinate over the second x-coordinate take away the first x-coordinate. So our second y-coordinate is 17, so it's going to be 17 take away the first one, which is 14, over the second x-coordinate, which is 60, take away the first one, which is 45. So that's going to be 3 over 15, and then cancel that down, will be 1 over 5. So our gradient is 1/5. This question seems a lot harder than it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rewriting the prime factors, but without the squared. So 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. I'm going to do the same with the other lists as well. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 11. Now I'm going to put these into a Venn diagram. And so I'm just going to draw out a Venn diagram and get my 2 circles, because we're going to have the 450 and the 132. So 450 is on the left hand side and 132 is on the right hand side. And we're going to start just filling out the Venn diagram. So they both have a 2 in them and they both have a 3, but 450 has a 3, a 5 and a 5. And 132 has that 2 in the 11. Now to find the lowest common multiple, what you do is you just multiply all these numbers together, and that will give you the lowest common multiple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 times 5 times 5, which are the numbers on the left, times 2 times 3, which are the numbers in the middle, times 2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 9,900, and that's it. So our answer is 9,900. So we're given 21 to 4 is the ratio. And we're just going to have our lines in, because what we need to do is make the left hand side be 1. Okay. And to do that, for 21 I need to divide it by itself, divide it by 21, and we're going to do the same to the right hand side. So 21 divided by 21 is 1. Perfect, that's what we wanted. 4 divided by 21 is 0.190 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 1 to 0.19. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9 to 6 to 13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. So we're looking for angle DEC, which is this one here, but we can't go directly there. We've got to kind of work our way towards it. And the first thing I'm going to look at is these set of parallel lines here. And we've got a line going through these parallel lines, which is this line. If I try and do it without removing it, this line here. And so therefore this angle here and this angle are going to be corresponding. So this is going to be 69 degrees. So I need to write that down properly. So angle CDE equals 69 degrees because of corresponding angles. Okay. So if I know that the CDE is 69, I also will know that this angle here is 69 because they're the bottom two angles in a triangle. Now, when I say that, I mean when an isosceles triangle is the right way up, the bottom two angles are equal. So they're the bottom two angles in an isosceles, although the isosceles is on its side here. And we need to write that down, so it would be angle DCE equals 69 degrees. And this time it's because it's an isosceles triangle. And finally, we can work out what CED is by taking those away from 180. So angle CED, or actually I should keep it as it says in the question, DEC, is equal to 180, take away the 69 plus 69. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. And when you do that, you get the answer of 42 degrees. So the answer is 42 degrees. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angle triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle. So it'd be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out. And we're looking for c, in fact we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared, and we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants it to two decimal places, so that will be 61.19. The first thing to notice is that the tree must be closer to CD than AB. So if we draw a line across the middle, it can't be in the top bit because that would be closer to line AB. The second piece of information that is given to us is it must be at least 11 meters away from point C. So we get our compass out and measure 11 centimeters, or whatever the scale we're using in this diagram is, and we draw a quarter circle from C. And it says shade the region that it can be planted. So this is the region that represents closer to line CD than AB, but also not within 11 meters of point C. So I'm going to write the equation out, the formula out. And we're asked to make y the subject, so I'm just going to get my lines in. And so what's stopping us from having y on its own? Well, this minus 1. How am I going to get rid of it? Add 1 both sides. So we've got x plus 1 equals 9y. What else do we have that stops y from being on its own? Well, this times 9 here. So we're going to do the opposite, the inverse, which is divide by 9 both sides. And to do that nicely, what we do is we just do it as a fraction. X plus 1 over 9 equals y. So therefore y is x plus 1 over 9. We can write the equation of any straight line as y equals mx plus c, m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is the easy one because it's just where the line crosses the y-axis. In this case, it's going to cross it at 2. Now to find the gradient, we need to find 2 coordinates that we know, and preferably next to each other. So I'm going to pick the same coordinate, the y-intercept coordinate, and this coordinate here, we know what that is. And the definition of the gradient is for every 1 we go to the right, how far up we go. Well, here we actually go down, so we're technically going minus 3 up. So the gradient is going to be minus 3 because it's gone down 3. So our equation is m equals minus 3x plus 2. The first thing that we can actually work out for this Venn diagram is this part here. So it says 12 had a cat but not a dog. So the cat but not a dog is showed with this A here. So if 12 had a cat but not a dog, and in total 22 had a cat, we're going to do 22 take away 12, which is 10. So 10 had a cat and a dog. If 16 had a dog, and 10 also had a cat, that means that 6 had a dog. Let's make sure we fill these in. And if overall there were 31 people, and there were 12 who just had a cat, 10 who had a cat and a dog, and 6 who had a dog, that leaves 3 left over. First thing I'm going to do is add these column vectors. So we're going to add the tops first, and then we're going to add the bottoms. So it's plus minus 14. And so at the top it would be minus 4. And 11 take away 14 is minus 3. Then I go pick a point on my shape, and the the top one tells us how far right we're going. So we know we're going 4 to the left because it's obviously a negative. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom one tells us how far up we're going. Well, it's going to be down because it's a minus 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we can do that for each of the other points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And when we've done that, we can join them all up with straight lines. And label the new shape B. So we're asked to find the bearing of Freetown from Gamley. So that is this angle here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find this angle, and this will obviously be 90 degrees because the hiker walked west, and it's against the west line and the north line, so it's definitely 90 degrees. So we can work out what the bearing is if we know that angle inside the triangle. So we're going to start by labelling the sides. Well, we've got a 90 degrees here, we've got hypotenuse here, we've got the adjacent here next to the angle, and we've got the opposite, which is across from the marked angle. Here we're not using the hypotenuse, so we can cross that out, and we can do our SOHCAHTOA. and the only one that doesn't have the hypotenuse is TOA. And so we're doing tan x equals the opposite, which is 49 over 98. Get our lines in, and we're going to do the inverse tan to both sides. So we get x equals, and we do inverse tan, which is 26.565, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we know that the whole of the way around, up until this point, is 270, because we've got this 90 degree left. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to work out the bearing. So bearing, we're just going to do 270, take away the 26.565, blah, blah, blah. And that gives us 243.434, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to the nearest whole number, so that's going to be 243. Okay, so we're going to start off by working out the multiplier, and we're told, we always start off with 100%, we're told that the compound interest rate is 1.6%, so we're going to add 1.6% to the 100%, and it's going to be 101.6%. Okay, make that into a decimal by dividing it by 100. So we're just going to divide that by 100, and this will give us the decimal, or the multiplier. So the multiplier is 1.016, and so anytime we want to increase something by 1.6%, we just times it by 1.016. Now, we're told that we start off with 2,400, that's our original amount, and to find out what it's going to be in the savings account at the end of the first year, we just times it by the multiplier, 1.016. But we're told that it's for 7 years that it's going to be in there, so we then times it by 1.0167 times, or easier way of doing it is 1.016 to the power of 7. When we do that, we get 2,682.052, blah, blah, blah. And because it's money, we round to the nearest pence, so 2,682.05. To find an error interval, what we need to do is find the smallest and largest that a number can be. So I start by just drawing a quick number line, and we put our number in the middle, which is 89.6. Now we're looking to the nearest tenth, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the next number down and the next number up in tenths. So the next number down would be 89.5, the next number up would be 89.7. Now the bounds, the upper and lower bound, the maximum and minimum number it could be before rounding, are going to be at the halfway points. So here and here. And so all we need to do is work out what those numbers are. So halfway between 89.5 and 89.6 is 89.55. And halfway between 89.6 and 89.7 is 89.65. So those are going to be our lower and upper bounds. But how do we show it as an error interval? Well, we put t in the middle because it tells us that t is representing the time, and we show it with inequalities. Now, the number can be 89.55, but it can't be 89.65 because that would round to 89.7. So we say everything that's less than but not equal to. So there are three parts that we need to find the area of. We're going to start with the easiest bit first, this circle at the bottom here. Okay, so the circle area is just going to be pi times r squared, and the radius is given to us at the top, which is 9, so it's just going to be pi times 9 squared, and that would be 254.469 blah blah blah. Well, we could leave it as 81 pi. Next bit is the curved bit of the cylinder. So we're going to do the cylinder next. And it's just the curved bit, and the formula for that is 2 pi r h. So 2 times pi times the radius, which is 9, times the height, which is 30. And that will give us 1696.460 blah blah blah. And the last bit is this hemisphere here. And so let's do the hemisphere. And the formula for the area of a hemisphere, well, this full sphere is 4 times pi times r squared, but because it's a hemisphere, it's half of that. And so it'd be half times 4 times pi times the 9 squared, and that will give us 508.938. And so the final thing is to work out the total area, so total surface area. And we're just going to add up all these numbers together. So we add up the 254.469, the 1696.460, blah, 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 and the 508.938, blah, 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 blah. And we get 2,459.867, blah, blah, blah. Do make sure you show the examiner that you're adding these three here. I've not done that because it wastes a bit of time for a video, but make sure you write it down. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so that will be 2,459.87 centimetres squared. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.